Before we get into some Ravens rumors, I just want to know, who is your all-time favorite Raven? It could be somebody like Ray Lewis. Maybe it's Ed Reed. For me personally, I always respected Ed Reed, though. One of the very first games I can remember is watching the Ravens going up against the Giants in the Super Bowl, and Kyle Bowler's down there leading them to a title. And all my family's a bunch of Giants fans, so for that, I might say Bowler. I'm also, though, going to go ahead and give some love to Ed Reed. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to be breaking down a possible Saquon Barkley trade. I didn't say it, but Jeremy Fowler had some interesting things to say about it. Could this team go out and sign maybe Jarvis Landry if he's released by the Cleveland Browns, even though he's going to be a free agent in 2023? And then we're going to look at the Honey Badger versus DeShon Elliott. The first story, though, here is this one, and it's around Saquon Barkley. So ESPN's Jeremy Fowler did an article essentially breaking down some potential destinations for the Giants star running back and said that a dark horse team could actually be the Baltimore Ravens. Now, if this team goes out and gets Saquon, it is going to cost them $7.2 million due to now the fact that he's on his fifth-year option. I love Barkley when he first came out of Penn State. In fact, I could actually sit up here and tell you he might be the best athlete overall from top to bottom in the National Football League. The biggest issue with Barkley has always been staying healthy. Here's the other thing that I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around them being a dark horse is because I'm not saying that J.K. has the upside that Saquon has, but J.K. Dobbins is one hell of a running back, and I thought he had himself a really good rookie season. Unfortunately, had an injury in year two. Gus Edwards also had an injury, right? I mean, that was the story of this running back group, injuries. So why go out and get a back who's never really been able to show that he can be healthy? Heck, he's missed 18 games over the past two seasons. However, people like to look at upside, right? In 2018, as a rookie in 16 games, 261 carries, 1,370 yards, 15 total touchdowns. He had 91 catches. I mean, you really saw why Barkley was supposed to be the next best running back in the league. But now let's look at the next 28 games that he played over the past three seasons. 398 carries, 1,630 yards, only 4.1 yards per carry, 12 total touchdowns, and 99 catches. Now, if Barkley, let's say, ends up coming to Baltimore, you got Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, J.K. Dobbins. They might never throw the ball ever again. Obviously, I kid by that. He's a phenomenal player and a phenomenal talent. It's just, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense. So you guys can let me know down in the comments. In fact, I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. So what does that mean? It means you're going to get hit with a YouTube ad break. So while you're getting hit with that ad break, scroll on down and let me know why for yes and for no. And since you're down there commenting your thoughts, why don't you go ahead also and hit that subscribe button, because I'm telling you right now, if the Ravens go ahead and they make a move like this, dude, we're going to be making a video about it, and I don't want you to miss it. So hit that sub button and turn on those notifications. Could the Baltimore Ravens somehow land Jarvis Landry? Well, for those of you that maybe don't follow the Cleveland Browns, I got you covered here, don't worry. Landry is one of these guys who could be a trade/cut candidate for Cleveland. Obviously, if they don't cut him, well, then guess what? You can't sign him. But let's just go ahead and say, all right, they decide to move on from him. Landry's a free agent. Bleacher Report went ahead then and named the Ravens as a possible destination for Jarvis. The only issue, I think, with this whole thing is if you trade for him, it's going to cost you, I believe it's like $14.3 million off the top of my head. If Landry decides to, or guess I shouldn't say decides, if he gets cut and then he's on the free agent market, then he's going to be a lot cheaper. In terms of production, he's been a solid guy for a long time. Now, this past season dealt with some injuries. He had 52 grabs, 570 yards. Shout out to the 570. 2 touchdowns, 72 catches, 840 yards, 3 touchdowns in 2020. It's been a while since Jarvis has been that dude who's gotten over 80 catches and seems like one of the better slot receivers in the National Football League. I will say, I do think Jarvis would fit pretty well in this offense with its intermediate routes. However, I would like a wide receiver that can block a little bit better. Here's what Bleacher Report had to say, though, on the Ravens adding Landry. The Ravens would be foolish to pass on an opportunity to add Landry in the mix. The savvy veteran would be an ideal fit in this receiving core, complementing Brown and promising rookie Rashod Bateman by moving the chains and making reliable plays. I don't necessarily disagree with that. If this whole thing is sign Landry if he's cut, I'm a lot more on board with that. However, I'm not going to go out and trade for him simply because, let's say you got to give up, I don't know, a 5th round, 4th round pick. That's not so much of the issue. But for Baltimore, who's not one of the top teams in terms of salary cap, I'm not going to go out and pay Landry $14.3 million. So if he was cut, let me know down in the comments, guys, what would be your interest level in the Ravens signing Jarvis Landry? If he was cut, that's the key word here. Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being, you know what, man? I'm good. Not interested whatsoever. 10 being you're really interested. The reason why I'm going to go with a 7 is because there's a lot of injuries starting to pile up right now for some of these free agent receivers. Look at Chris Godwin, ACL. Michael Gallup, ACL. OBJ, ACL. To be honest with y'all, those are like the top 5 guys. I even think Devontae Adams, he might even get franchise tagged. So if Jarvis does get released, I'm going to put this one at a solid 7. If you're a Ravens fan and you need a brand new Ravens jersey, look no further than this link down here below. If you go to chatsports.com/Ravens jersey, we got tons of jerseys, not just the ones that y'all see on screen. Whether you want purple, whether you want the gold, whether you want the black jersey, white jersey, we got all of them for you. We got men's, youth, women as well. Maybe, I don't know, you didn't get your girl anything on Valentine's Day. We got old players as well, so maybe, like I said, who was your favorite player? You're like, dude, Ray Lewis, that's my guy. If you want, I'll do the dance if you guys get a jersey. It's chatsports.com/Ravens jersey. That link is going to be available for y'all in the comments and in the description of today's video. Here's something that I haven't told many people. I believe the very first jersey that my parents ever bought me was, in fact, a Ray Lewis jersey. Let's go to the next story, and it's around the Honey Badger. Tyrann Mathieu is one of the top free agent safeties out there. I get it. He's getting up there in age a little bit. But if the Ravens are interested going out and getting him, I would definitely understand that. Now, the latest report is that some Ravens players have reached out to him in the past few weeks, and he's going to be a good addition to almost any secondary because of his versatility. Now, sure, he's definitely lost a step. He's not quite what he was when he first came out of LSU. But Mathieu, with all of his playoff experience, with the amount of experience that he's had with even some different schemes, Baltimore could use him. He's not going to be somebody like Ed Reed once was, being an absolute ball hawk, but Mathieu's a hell of a player. Here's what PFF had to say on Tyrann Mathieu going to Baltimore. All signs have pointed to the Chiefs and Mathieu, what does that say? Splitting up, and his playmaking skills would be welcome anywhere. The Ravens' needs are tough to evaluate because their entire secondary was hurt last year, but they were interested in Mathieu when he was a free agent in 2019. So he could be in the radar again, given their current situation at safety. And as this whole PFF thing's breaking down, their current situation at safety is DeShon Elliott. He had a pretty solid 2020 season, was, I'd say, a little bit above average in terms of a safety. Last season, though, suffered an injury, had only 23 tackles, 1 INT, 2 pass breakups. Baltimore just, they had a slew of injuries, especially in the secondary, whether it was Marcus Peters, whether it was Humphrey, Elliott at the beginning of the year. But what I'm going to show you are the numbers, and I'm going to show you the numbers the past 2 seasons. Now, first off, Elliott, again, he got injured. He didn't play the full season, but for the Honey Badger, he had 76 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 3 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. The numbers that maybe help you stack them up a little bit better. Elliott, he had 80 tackles. Mathieu, he had 62 tackles for loss, advantage Elliott. Sacks, advantage Elliott. Again, these are 2020 stats. Interceptions, 6 for Mathieu, 9 pass breakups. If the Ravens need to do anything a little bit better this upcoming season, they need to start forcing some more turnovers. And no disrespect to Elliott, my answer is going to be pretty simple on this one. So if you had to pick one to sign, Elliott or Mathieu, who would you pick? Type TM for Tyrann Mathieu, type DE for DeShon Elliott. I don't know if you can throw some honey badgers down there in the comments, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Honey Badger.